They told her she didn't belong in uniform. They mocked her, stripped her rank, and thought they'd broken her spirit. But when they looked up at the roar in the sky, it wasn't thunder, it was her, screaming back in an F-35. If you want more stories where quiet strength explodes into unstoppable power, make sure you subscribe, you won't want to miss what comes next. Sarah Hale was an aircraft mechanic who never wanted glory, just the chance to serve, but the men at Falcon Ridge Base never let her forget she was just a simple woman, not a pilot, not an officer, someone they believed should fetch coffee instead of torque wrenches. The day Commander Briggs barked at her to strip off her grease-stained uniform in front of the hangar crew because women don't wear flight colors, she didn't argue, didn't cry, didn't even blink. She just unzipped it slowly, folded it neatly, and walked out in her plain white undershirt while laughter chased her down the tarmac. But inside she made a promise that their arrogance had written in fire across her heart. That night, while the rest of the camp dozed under desert stars, Sarah moved like a ghost through the shadows she knew better than anyone, past cameras she herself had installed and sensors she had personally calibrated, and into Hangar 17 where the sleek, midnight-painted F-35B, Viper's Kiss, rested under tarps and lockout tags. She'd memorized every code, every checklist, every bleed air line routing because no one ever looked at the mechanic twice, and when she slid into the cockpit, the jet felt less like a machine and more like an extension of her rage, humming as though it had been waiting for her all along. Sunrise came with the ground crew expecting another day of drills, another day to jeer at the girl who didn't belong, but the shriek of afterburners tore open the morning like a war god's trumpet, and there she was, Sarah Hale, climbing through the sky at Mach 1.2, low enough for her shadow to rake across their tents, inverted as though to show contempt for gravity itself, and in her helmet mic she spoke calm words on an open channel. You told me to take off the uniform. I decided to take off the ground instead. Before rolling vertical into a climb that rattled every window for miles, Briggs roared orders, tried to scramble security, but Sarah wasn't attacking. At least not with missiles. She was attacking their pride, performing maneuvers even test pilots feared to attempt, screaming through canyons with the nose inches from the rock, pirouetting through the thin morning air until radar techs swore they were seeing things, and when an F-16 pair was ordered to intercept, they found themselves chasing a ghost that knew every trick of their engines, every weakness of their turn radius, because Sarah had repaired these birds, crawled inside their guts, and she understood their heartbeat better than the pilots themselves, so she painted their tails with her targeting laser, not firing, just humiliating them, before disappearing straight up into the sun like an avenging angel. Rumors spread instantly. The simple woman had stolen $100 million jet and was circling like a hawk above the camp that spat on her. But Sarah wasn't done. She dropped low again, just over the parade ground, kicking up sand and fury, and this time released a canister, not a bomb but a rain of photographs, shots of every maintenance flaw she had reported and Briggs had ignored, proof of every safety violation buried, every pilot endangered by arrogance, her quiet revenge printed on glossy paper fluttering down like snow over stunned soldiers who had no idea how she'd gathered so much evidence. Panic gripped the brass, who feared not just the theft but the scandal, and as they scrambled to jam her comms she broke into their private encrypted frequency using keys she'd swiped months ago, calmly reading off a list of crimes, calling out names, daring anyone to deny her in the face of the whole base listening live. When they threatened to shoot her down, she laughed, a sound colder than steel, because she'd already reprogrammed the air defense IFF systems to register her F-35 as a friendly presidential escort craft. No missile could touch her. Jets pursued, helicopters swarmed, but she toyed with them, slicing through cloud layers like a blade through silk, until finally she executed an impossible landing on a remote highway strip she herself had cleared during routine exercises, fueling from hidden drums stashed by sympathetic ground crew who'd also had enough of Briggs' tyranny. The chase lasted 3 days, every hour another broadcast, Sarah never harming a soul yet dismantling careers with each truth bomb dropped over cities, camps, and even live streamed to civilian news channels that picked up her encrypted feed. She was a ghost, a hero, a criminal, a legend, and when finally she brought the jet back, not to Falcon Ridge but to the steps of the Capitol during a public ceremony where no one dared fire, she climbed out still wearing that same plain undershirt, holding no weapon but a wrench raised high, declaring she wasn't fighting the military she loved, only the corruption inside it. Briggs was court-martialed within weeks, others resigned, and Sarah was taken away in cuffs, but not before crowds chanted her name, turning, just a simple woman, into a battle cry for every underdog who'd ever been told to sit down and stay quiet. Though the official story would call her unstable, insiders knew she had flown an F-35 with unmatched skill, and whispers grew that intelligence agencies quietly offered her a deal rather than prison, because anyone who could steal a jet and outfly the Air Force was too dangerous to waste. And while no one ever confirmed where she went next, pilots in distant war zones sometimes reported a mysterious friendly F-35 appearing at their hour of greatest need, flying with impossible precision, then vanishing into the clouds before anyone could call her name. Yet they all knew it. Sarah Hale, the mechanic who showed them what happens when you tell the wrong woman to take off her uniform.